the process of sharing my research with others, I've learned there's a lot of confusion about what hazing is and what it isn't. My goal in this 6 minutes is to increase your knowledge about hazing so we can work together to prevent its harm, and in the process promote positive and healthy group membership and leadership experiences. Let's begin by taking a closer look at the definition. Hazing is any activity expected of someone joining or maintaining membership in a group that humiliates, degrades, abuses, or endangers them, regardless of their willingness to participate. At its core, hazing is ultimately about an abuse of power. This abuse undermines the values and goals of education, and hazing can cause physical and psychological harm and even death. It can breed mistrust among group members and teammates, and cause enduring pain and contribute to abusive school environments where other forms of interpersonal violence like bullying are more likely to thrive. Hazing often goes unnoticed, though, until it's too late, until a tragedy occurs or an incident makes headlines, like in Massachusetts where rookies on a football team were expected to drink urine, or in Florida where new band members were called into a dark hallway while veteran members threw drumsticks and mallets at them. In Chicago, where girls on an athletic team beat each other with baseball bats, causing lacerations and broken bones. In Maine, where rookies were chased, held down, and beaten with wiffle ball bats to the point of drawing blood. In Massachusetts, New York, New Mexico, New Jersey, and other locations, rookies have been sexually assaulted in locker rooms with broomsticks, baseball bats, or other implements. Despite the headlines, however, many people underestimate the extent to which hazing occurs. 2 national studies indicate that nearly half of high school students experience hazing. And research reveals that some hazing occurs in public, and victims of hazing often report it to family and friends, but rarely to school officials. In college, more than half of students who belong to student organizations and teams experience hazing. Since these groups also function as leadership laboratories for students, hazing can be understood as a leadership problem. And so working to prevent hazing is actually a leadership opportunity. And data indicate hazing occurs in both public and private schools and across different types of groups, including athletics, performing arts, academic clubs, and even honor societies. Eliminating hazing can enhance the skills needed for healthy and positive group experiences. This matters now and can also pay dividends down the road. For example, a recent study of group dynamics at Google found that psychological safety was perceived to be the #1 factor contributing to successful work teams. So even while hazing runs counter to positive group dynamics and undermines the missions and values of educational institutions, preventing it can be challenging, especially when there's a major disconnect. That disconnect is illuminated by the fact that 9 out of 10 of the students who experienced hazing did not consider themselves to have been hazed. What helps to explain this disconnect? First, hazing is often minimized and normalized in our culture. We see this play out with the many euphemisms used in place of the word hazing. It is not uncommon, for example, to hear people dismiss hazing saying, "No, that wasn't hazing, that was just a tradition or just a prank to promote team unity or group bonding." The widespread minimization of hazing can also contribute to confusion about when behavior crosses the line into hazing. To help clarify, focus on 3 key components. First, hazing is behavior expected of someone joining or maintaining membership in a group. Second, it's behavior that causes harm or risks causing harm. And third, it can happen regardless of a person's willingness to participate. That third point acknowledges the power dynamics that occur in a group context, where the combination of peer pressure and a person's strong desire to belong to a group can produce a coercive environment where true consent can be called into question. Like other forms of abuse, hazing occurs on a spectrum. Typically, only the most extreme cases of hazing are recognized as totally unacceptable. Other types of hazing occur with greater frequency, yet are often overlooked or minimized. However, all the behaviors along the continuum are hazing and contribute to group dynamics where abuses of power can intensify and set the stage for the more egregious types of hazing at the other end of the spectrum, which in part helps to explain how well-meaning, good kids can get caught up in hazing situations that have very bad outcomes. Some will justify hazing by pointing to positive intentions for the activity, but the reality is there are other ways to achieve these positive outcomes, ways that don't risk abusing or endangering others. Just as students justify hazing based on perceived positive gains, some teachers, coaches, and even parents condone it or ignore it. Some of our research indicates that as many as 25% of coaches or student organization advisors knew about or participated in hazing. Given the harm from hazing and the extent to which it tends to be overlooked, what can be done to prevent it? What can you do? Well, you can help by refusing to overlook hazing and recognizing it's a community issue. It's not just about the apples, it's about the barrels the apples are in. In other words, it's not just about the students participating in hazing. It's about aspects of the school and campus culture and broader community that normalize it. Since we're all members of the community, we all have a role to play in making positive change, and you can make a difference in many ways. You can continue to learn about hazing and help others learn about it and the harm it can cause. You can make a commitment to share this information with family and friends by having discussions and continuing to seek accurate information about hazing. You can work to ensure that youth coaches have training about hazing and that teachers, administrators, family, and community members know how to recognize warning signs and know where to report a concern. You can show leadership by helping to plan positive non-hazing activities for group bonding and tradition, and you can refuse to participate in hazing. Or if you hear about it, you can speak up and report it. You can find more information about hazing and resources to help with its prevention on our website, stophazing.org. Each of us has a lot to gain by ensuring healthy, safe, and non-hazing environments in school activities and teams. I urge you to join us in working to end hazing and in the process, promote positive leadership, group membership, and ultimately a better world. Thank you.